when you think about the police, right, what is the first thing that comes into your mind? I'm talking about police in India. Now, if you have been watching movies, especially Hindi movies, you'll have those scenes, where the MLA or the MP, they call the sub-inspector and ask him to arrest this guy or register this FIR, right? So, I'm talking about political interference in police. So, today in this video, I am going to take a sort of analytical and logical approach to analyzing and understanding. First thing is, what is political interference? Is there such a thing? Number one. Number two, does it happen? And if so, how common it is? Is it a problem? Is it like a huge problem? Is it like a minor thing? And most importantly, why does it happen? Right? Why are politicians or political parties able to interfere in the police department? And finally, is there a way to stop it? Right? So there are a lot of things we have to discover. So let's get started. So first question is, if I made a counter argument that there is no such thing as political interference. As an example, I could make an argument, it's not a right argument, but I could say that, look, the MLAs, MPs, they are elected by the people. They are representing the people, so they represent the will of people of this country. So they have a right to tell the police, what to do, because they are representing, people have elected them. So can they tell a sub-inspector or an SP of a district or any police officer how to do their job? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, then there is no such thing as political interference. Right? So let's first understand what is the job of police. So primarily, police has got two major responsibilities, very broadly, right? So one is prevention and investigation and detection of crime, right? So if a crime happens, first of all, try to prevent it, and if it happens, then investigate, charge sheet, so bring the accused to justice, and hopefully if the trial goes well and there is enough evidence, the guy will get convicted and he'll be punished. So this is one part of it, which is investigation of crime. The second part of it is managing law and order, which means ensuring that there is no communal rioting, that there are no major public order disturbances. If there is major crowd, then the crowd is controlled properly. Politicians are conducting rallies, so those rallies are managed properly, traffic is managed well. So there are these other set of things which I would call broadly law and order or public order management, very, very broadly. Right? Now the question is, can a politician, right, it could be somebody even who's, let's say, a home minister or even very senior official, a senior person in the government, can they tell a police officer what to do and what not to do? So as an example, let's say in a company, if I'm the CEO, I can tell my head of technology or head of sales or head of any function to do certain activities, right? But policing is different. Though we don't feel it that way, but a job of a police officer is almost like job of a doctor or a surgeon. So now let's say if I am a doctor working in a hospital, it doesn't matter. The CEO of the hospital also or the head of the company cannot come and tell me how to perform a surgery, what medicine to give, right? Because as a doctor, it is my responsibility, and I'm the only person who can make an assessment. This patient, does he or she require medication? Does he or she require treatment? What treatment? How to do it? It is a technical role, right? Exactly in the same manner, the job of police is technical, which means when a crime case or when a complaint comes to me, whether to register an FIR or not, that depends upon my assessment of whether the allegation, it constitutes a cognizable offense or not. In very simple language, when somebody has made a complaint, I need to use my judgment and knowledge of law to say this particular incident, does it require an FIR or does it not require an FIR? There is no discretion. It's not like, okay, I don't feel like it, so or somebody told me so then let me not do it. But the requirement of the law is that the officer has to use his judgment. Once the FIR is registered and the police starts investigating a case, nobody in this country, I repeat, nobody, not even the Prime Minister of the country, not the Home Minister, not the Chief Minister, not even the judges, not even the High Court, Supreme Court, can tell a police officer how to investigate the case. This is a huge responsibility, which means even a sub-inspector, even a head constable who's investigating a case, he cannot be told by anybody else how to do the investigation. That is the law. Right? Let's talk about public order management, controlling riotous mobs or controlling traffic or those kind of things. Now, very broadly, right? Very broadly, there Senior officials have a responsibility, so they can give instructions to their junior subordinates as to how to manage the situation, where to deploy the police force and so on. But even there, if I am facing a mob, okay, so I am the police officer, I am facing a mob, whether to do lathi charge or not, whether to fire tear gas or not. If I have to open fire, then how much, whether I should open fire, if not, how many rounds should I fire? All these decisions are to be taken by the police officer or by the magistrate on the spot, which means if I am a sub-inspector, I am on the ground, even my boss cannot tell me what force to use. It is my discretion. I have to decide on the spot. One last thing, when it comes to major problems like, so as an example, communal rioting, there, as per the Supreme Court guidelines and as per the existing norms, the SP of the district and the district magistrate, it is their responsibility to manage communal harmony and communal peace, right? So which means the responsibility, it rests, the buck stops there. So as we see in this in a very broad set of areas, the responsibility of police officers, even sometimes junior ranking officers, that responsibility is a technical role, and people from top or even senior people or big politicians, they cannot come and tell them what to do. It is not just, it is illegal, it is inappropriate, it is not allowed, and it is morally wrong. So which means political interference is a problem. It's not legal, right? So next question, does it happen? How often does it happen? In what form and shape does it take? So is it as dramatic as it is in the movies? So my answer is, it happens a lot, right? I can't argue that it happens, what people perceive, it's exactly that much, but it does happen a lot, and it varies across states. And the reason for that is police is not under the central government, police is under the state government. So depending upon the government, depending upon the type of government, right? So in some states, some political parties, when they form governments, they like to control the police very tightly. In other places, they are sort of, they give them more space. So it depends a lot on the chief minister, on the home minister, and the set of people running the government. But broadly speaking, right? A lot of governments, not all of them, but a lot of them, they want to control the police and keep them under their thumb. Why is that? The reason for that is, even though the number of powers given to police is limited to certain things, so primarily investigation of offences, but those powers are very strong. As an example, even a constable, once again, even a police constable can arrest any person who's reasonably suspected of having committed a cognizable offence, and that constable can arrest the person without any warrant from the court, without any order from the court, right? This is a lot of authority given to every policeman. Similarly, investigation, right? Police officers have complete autonomy. That is something which scares everyone, right? What if they, as an example, what if some police officer, enters some big guy's house and conducts a raid and searches and seizes documents or arrests somebody? So the power of police is something which is feared a lot by everyone, and therefore everybody wants to, at least the politicians, not all of them, but many of them want to control that. So, and what is the shape it takes? It can have some sometimes very I would say modest manifestations. So very small things. So as an example, let's say I want to go to a police station. I'm a victim of a crime. Now I have a feeling if I go to police station, the cops may not listen to me. They may not register an FIR. They may delay me. They may be rude to me, and that is entirely possible. But if I know a politician, know the local MLA or the local councillor or somebody who knows the sub-inspector or somebody in the police station, they make a phone call. When I go, I get a much better reception, right? So this is the at the lower level, I would say. And then there are bigger manifestations. So once an FIR is registered, whom to make accused, who should be arrested, who should not be arrested, right? Whether the person is given bail or not. Once arrested, are they treated well or they are mistreated, right? So a lot of these kind of things where people can influence the police investigation, the police process. So political interference happens a lot, but as I said, it varies a lot across the state and depends on the state government. When I was in the IPS, fortunately, I worked under a government which was very clean, very honest, and I never had any interference whatsoever from the government, or I would say for the most part even from my bosses. Most of them were outstanding people. But that was my exception. My experience was truly an exception. This is not the norm, right? Now, that's the next question. So, why are politicians able to influence the police officers? I would make a counter argument that, look, if you are a police officer, if you're an IPS officer or a deputy SP or a sub inspector or a circle inspector, your job is secure in the sense that you have a 35 year career, and nobody can just fire you like that. So you have job security. Your promotions will come on time. You cannot get faster promotions. You cannot get slower promotions. For the most part, right? Everything is well laid out. You know exactly what your next 30 years will look like. Then why would you succumb to somebody's pressure? That's a big question. What's the answer? The answer is that there is still a lot of authority with the government. Let me explain. So let us say you are an officer, IPS officer, the rank of SP or DIG or IG or ADGP, right? Now, especially when you go in the higher ranks, right, there are some positions which give you a lot of role, lot of responsibility, and you feel very, very important in those positions. So as an example, let's say if you are DIG or IG in charge of a range or a zone. So in very simple language, let's say you might be in charge of, let us say, 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 districts. Now you are responsible for the law and order and the crime investigation, and you control the police force in 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 districts. That's a lot of authority, lot of responsibility. And the same person the government can take him from there and put him in another position where he'll have probably maybe 5 people working under him. He may have like 5 minutes or 10 minutes of work every day. I know there are many positions where police officers, senior officials, right, after serving for 20-25 years, they will go to office and sit the whole day and may not even have 15 minutes of work every single day. Which means that if I control the government, or if I am the home minister or the chief minister, or if I am a senior politician, obviously they in the party they'll all be together, right? Then I can decide, like a piece in a chessboard, I can take this piece and put from here to here or from here to somewhere else, and in that process I can take a person from a position where he feels like I'm like a big deal to somewhere where he has nothing to do really. So if I can reduce your I can, on a scale of 10, if I can take you from 9 out of 10 to 1 out of 10, if I have that much leeway, right, then I control your destiny. At least that's the impression, that's the sort of mentality which most people will have. There are obviously some people, some police officers who do not succumb to this. So they, even if they get a bad posting or they're in a bad position, they will sit it out, and they may not be happy, but they don't let it affect them. But a lot of people are not like that. Same thing happens in lower ranks as well. So essentially the core of the thing is that transfers and postings give politicians a lot of hold on the police department. If you look at lower ranks, similar stuff. So as an example, if a sub inspector is in charge of a police station, especially an important police station, he has got very serious responsibility. But he can also be thrown in some other position where you'll have no other work. Then there are other things, so location, are you posted close to your home, or you put somewhere very far off? So there are many situations, where the government's action can have huge influence on you, and therefore politicians have a lot of control over the police. And this is the reality. Now the question is it a small problem? It's a huge problem. Like, how should we think about this? So my answer to this is, it's a very, very, very serious problem. Let me tell you why. Law and order is the fundamental basis of any successful, any happy society. If there is no law and order, so as an example, let us say we want to, people obviously in any society, they want to be rich, they want to be affluent. So for that to happen, there have to be businesses, people have to conduct commerce, trade has to happen. But for anything, there has to be basic minimum security in the place. If you know that, okay, in this area, there is dacoity, robbery, everything is like very, very common, then nobody would want to go and set up a business there. Nobody would want to start a school. There will be no hospitals. Right? In fact, the states in North India, some of the places, the law and order has been so bad that they have suffered because nobody wants to invest and nobody wants to go there. So this is one part of it. Another part of it is from the point of view of people living there. Right? If I am a citizen, if I know that if I go to a police station, with the request, nobody will listen to me. But if I know a politician, if I am on their side, then my job will be done. What will I do? I'll obviously gravitate towards them. I'll try to make friends with them. So this is how politicians, they become powerful, and some of them might even use it to make money through corruption. Right? So it's and over time, if let us say people feel that in this city or in this district or in this state, you can't get justice without political influence, then what happens? Then the faith of people in law and order totally breaks down. When you feel that, okay, there is no justice for me, there is a temptation to go and do things outside the realm of justice. So that is where we see crime going up, people trying to take revenge because they know that there is no other way to get justice. Right? So in short, the short answer is that anything which makes a law and order or anything which breaks down rule of law is a big problem in any society. Right? So the final question is, if it is such a huge problem, what do we do? Can we stop it? Is there something we can do to change it? This is where, unfortunately, there are no easy answers. Now, the fact is that unlike the judiciary, which is totally independent, police, it has got functions which require some amount of guidance. They require some supervision from the government. So we cannot make, at least as things are in this country, we cannot make police totally independent of the government. So it is part of the government machinery, like any other department. So the next question is, even if that is the case, can we reduce the influence of politicians or the political apparatus? So the answer is yes, to some extent. So first thing is, in my opinion, the first thing is that the political establishment, they get a chance to control the police through transfers and postings. Right? If we can manage that a little better. So as an example, first thing, if let us say there are 10 positions in the rank of say IG in a district or in a state. Now, if one person can be put in position 1, where the importance, let us say, I'm just using a number, is let's say 9 out of 10, and another position is let's say 1 out of 10, then I can play around. But if all the positions are sort of generally perceived to be equally important, or they have at least meaningful role, then the scope to play around goes down. So first thing I think what needs to be done is, there are a lot of these positions that have been created to accommodate people which have big ranks. So they will have people in the rank of IG or additional DGP sitting there, but they do not have sufficient role and responsibility. I believe that those positions, they should be removed. Right? So we should only have a position in a certain rank if the role really requires somebody of that seniority and that ability. So that's number one. Number two is that security of tenure. Once you are posted in a particular position, there has to be some minimum time before which you cannot be removed arbitrarily. Now, there are already guidelines in place. So as an example, there are, as per the current norms, IAS, IPS officers, they cannot be removed arbitrarily. In police, there are specific norms that 2-year tenure is given, but very often governments don't follow that, and it's not really being implemented very, very strongly. So that is something that has to change. And just to give you a sense of how important this security of tenure can be, let me take an example of T.N. Seshan, who was the Chief Election Commissioner. If you know, he is the person who essentially changed the role of Election Commission in this country. Before he became the Chief Election Commissioner, nobody even knew what is Election Commission. Today, Election Commission is a big deal. Right? And I would say, even though Indian politics is still quite dirty, he played a big role in cleaning it up. And why could he do that? Because he had a security of tenure, and he had a constitutional position, and nobody could influence him. So he did a great job. Before that, he was the cabinet secretary in the government. He did not, I don't think, he did something that spectacular. Right? So second thing is security of tenure. Finally, I think the government officials, including especially at the senior levels, IAS, IPS officers, they should not feel that, okay, I am cornered. Right? So the government, if they don't like me, they can put me in a position for 5-10 years. I have nothing to do, and I'm just losing my life. I believe it's again a very controversial suggestion, but I believe that police officers should be officially allowed to let's say take sabbatical for 3, 4, 5 years, step out, go and work in private sector, come back again. If we have those options, then senior officers will feel less vulnerable, and they will be they will see opportunities other than being in service itself, right? So I believe that some combination of these factors, some combination of these ideas can bring down the political interference. But at the end of the day, all those things will work only if people of this country are aware, and that is what we want. If political parties, they interfere with police, and if it does not impact their prospects in the next election, they will definitely do that. So as citizens, we have to be informed and we have to ask hard questions. And when we go and vote for politicians, we have to ask, are these guys or the person I'm voting for, is that person supportive of rule of law, or is he the kind of person who just tries to get things done and do favors and who is misusing the law and order machinery? I don't think anyone does that. Until that happens, it is going to be very, very hard to see a major change in this area, right? So unfortunately, I don't have a great answer for this, but I hope at least I could give you some thoughts so that we can all start thinking and talking about it, right? I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you soon in the next video. Thank you very much.